PRINCE2, the acronym for Projects in Controlled Environments, is a widely used project management method that navigates you through all the essentials for running a successful project. PRINCE2 is a flexible method and is aimed at all types of projects. The development of PRINCE2 from the earlier Prince method was driven by user-based environments, project management specialists, and a review panel of 150 public and private sector organizations. This end result is a generic best practice tool which is flexible enough to be tailored to your organization and used successfully for all types of projects. The Managing Successful Projects with PRINCE2 manual provides guidance on the principles, processes, and themes to use to manage projects in any environment. The syllabus is based on the Managing Successful Projects with PRINCE manual issued in June 2009 by OJC and the Stationery Office. It reflects both the foundation and practitioner levels of examination. The primary purpose of the syllabus is to provide a basis for accreditation of people involved with PRINCE2. It documents the learning outcomes related to use of PRINCE2 and describes the requirements a candidate is expected to meet to demonstrate that these learning outcomes have been achieved at each qualification level. This syllabus informs the design of the exam and provides accredited training organizations with a more detailed breakdown of what the exams will assess. Details of the exam structure and content are documented in the PRINCE2 Foundation and practitioner exam designs. The purpose of the foundation qualification is to confirm that a candidate has sufficient knowledge and understanding of the PRINCE2 method to be able to work effectively with or as a member of a project management team working within an environment supporting PRINCE2. The foundation qualification is also a prerequisite for the practitioner qualification. The exam format is of multiple choice. This qualification is aimed at project managers questions and aspiring project managers. 5 questions. It is also relevant to other key staff involved in scores in the design, and these 5 questions could be any delivery of projects, including passing project board members 35 such as out of 70, senior responsible owners, a 50% team managers, and this will be a close product delivery managers. And project assurance. In the next slide, we will look at the business change analyst for PRINCE2 Foundation and the project support, which consists of the project and program office personnel and operational line managers or the staff. In the next slide, we will try and understand the importance of projects. One of the key aspects of any project management methodology is to understand why we do a project and when it's appropriate to do a project. Projects are about introducing a change as the key part. One thing that we got to make sure that we understand is projects are not used for operational processes, and we don't use projects to run operational day-to-day business. One of the challenges that projects faces or we faced today is maintaining the balance between the day-to-day operational activities and the transition. Projects need a defined start and a defined end, and that's the way that we have to address project management. A key challenge, again, let's have a look at it, for organizations in today's world is to succeed in balancing two parallel competing imperatives. That is, to maintain current business operations, that is, profitability, service quality, customer relationships, brand loyalty, productivity, market confidence, and what we term it as business as usual. To transform business operations in order to survive and compete in the future, looking forward and deciding how business change can be introduced to best effect for the organization. As the pace of change, that is, technology, business, social, accelerates, and the penalties of falling to adapt to change business outcome more evident, the focus of the management attention is inevitably moving to achieve a balance between business as usual and business change. Projects are the means by which we introduce the change. And while many of the skills required are the same, there are some crucial differences between managing business as usual and managing project work. In the next slide, we will look at what is a project now that we have understood the importance of the project. This particular slide has two definitions of what a project is. The first one is a definition of PRINCE2 project, which we can see. It says a PRINCE2 project is a temporary organization created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case. The second definition is from the PMBOK guide, and it describes a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Both of these definitions are correct, but the focus of PRINCE2 project, as you see, is the difference between these two, which is PRINCE2 is focused on the business case much more than the deliverable of the product of a project. In PRINCE2, a project is a temporary organization, again, is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case, where the focus is more on the business case. A product, an outcome, or deliverable can be defined as everything that the project must create or change. Results of projects can vary enormously from physical items such as buildings and machinery to intangible things like culture change and public perception. A PRINCE2 project creates both management products and specialized products. In the next slide, we will look at the characteristics of a particular project. According to PRINCE2, the characteristic of a project are that a project introduces change, a project is a temporary organization, and a project has a defined end and a defined start. And one of the most important things we need to understand about any project management methodology is that projects must close and we must have a defined close date for a project. What we don't want is projects going into operational work. A characteristic of a project is it is cross-functional. What that means is that it can use different people from different teams to achieve the result of the project. Also, projects deliver a unique result, which is why Project management is different from running the operational running of the business. Also, the characteristic of a project is that it deals with uncertainty, which comes about from the fact that we are introducing change. A better word for uncertainty is risk. Risk is all about making sure that we manage the uncertain things of a project. There are other characteristics of a project that we look at, such as the business case and plans. But these are the five that the PRINCE2 manual talks about, which is change, it is temporary, project is cross-functional, a project is unique, and it has a level of uncertainty. In the next slide, we will try and understand why a project fails. One of the most important things to understand about project management is that 80% of the projects generally fail to deliver what they set out to deliver. One of the main reasons why projects fail is because of the inexperience of project managers. The reason this comes about is because a lot of project managers aren't trained as project managers. They are generally good at their job, and the boss says, "You're going to run this project now." But they have got no training. Because of this, they don't know how to estimate for a particular cost, and they don't know how to do proper planning, and they also don't know how to run a business case properly. And so these are the reasons which we see are the reason enough for a project to fail. Having a lack of clearly defined purpose is also an important reason why a particular project fails. A business case is a reason for conducting, performing, or doing a project, and that it should be the purpose of doing a PRINCE2 project. Also, the cultural ethical misalignment is an important aspect of why projects fail. If you're dealing with projects in cross-cultural and different countries as well, another reason why projects fail is lack of communication. In fact, I would say this is the number one reason why projects fail. 90% of the time, the project manager should be spending communicating, and if the communication is not good, then the project is doomed to a failure. Also, one of the things that project managers aren't good at is planning. Planning should take about 20 to 25% of the time of a project, but in reality, project managers don't even spend 5% of the time. This is because their boss say, "Why haven't you started your work yet?" And so the project manager is forced or pressurized to start work. But the fact that they have planned the project properly means that they are not going to run the project properly. The vast majority of project failures are caused by management problems and issues. It is rare that projects fail because the actual product does not work. In the next slide, we will look at the viability, or why do we have a project management method. We will try and answer that question. So why is it important to have a project management method? Project management is about planning, delegating, monitoring, and controlling all aspects of the project, and that's what a project manager should be doing. We will also need to look at things like time, cost, quality, scope, benefits, and risk. And managing all those is why we need to make sure that we have a methodology to make sure that those things are actually taken care of and taken into consideration and controlled throughout the project. It is the development of the project's deliverables known as products in PRINCE2. that deliver the project's results. A new house is completed by creating drawings, foundation floors, walls, windows, a roof, plumbing, wiring, and connected services. None of this is project management. So why do we need project management at all? The purpose of project management is to keep control over the specialist work required to create the project's products, or to continue with the house analogy, to make sure the roofing contractor doesn't arrive before the walls are built. Additionally, given that projects are the means by which we introduce business change, and that project work entails a higher degree of risk than other business activity, it follows that implementing a secure, consistent, well-proven approach to project management is a valuable business investment. In the next slide, we will look at the benefits of the project management methodologies. PRINCE2 is a project management methodology. So why is it important to have a methodology to run a project? Number one is a methodology should be repeatable, which means that the project after project can actually do the same methodology, and also project methodology should be teachable so that different people can perform the same task and make sure the task is repeatable. Also, methodology should be built from experience. So, learning from experience and teaching that to the next project and learning from that is a principle of PRINCE2, which is really important. Also, it's important that we are proactive in our projects and not reactive. And by having a methodology, it allows us to plan and have a step by step and allows us to be proactive rather than being reactive all the time, which is another reason why a project fails. In the next slide, we will look at the role of a project manager and understand what does a project manager do. So what does a project manager actually do? A project manager's job is to plan and sequence the activities of the project. Now for a start, to be able to plan a project is a skill. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to plan a project properly. And the skills behind that need to be learned by the project manager. Project manager also needs to be able to delegate. The project manager's job is not to do the work of the project that is left for the teams to complete. The work of the project is done by the team and the team managers. The project manager's job is to monitor and control that work rather than actually to do the work. Also, if something goes wrong according to the plan, which happens all the time because things don't always go to the plan, then the project manager needs to be able to take corrective action against that plan to either get back on track or to replan to achieve the end result. It is the project manager who plans the sequence of activities to deliver the products of the project and who is responsible for monitoring how well the work in progress matches the plan. Of course, if work does not go according to the plan, the project manager must take action. The project manager performs many of the specialist tasks, but may delegate some or all of the work to others. In the next slide, we will look at the 6 most important aspects of project performance. There are 6 aspects of a project that the project manager needs to manage. These aspects are the time of the project, the scope of the project, and the scope is all about what the deliverable is actually going to look like. Also, the quality of that deliverable needs to be managed. The benefits of the business case also needs to be achieved, and that needs to be central to the Prince2 project. Also, project manager needs to manage costs and need to manage risk. The thing about these aspects is on any project, one of these aspects is going to be the most important aspect. Again, there are 6 variables involved in any project and therefore 6 aspects of project performance to be managed. Let's look at cost. The project must be affordable and cost must be managed. Time frames. Project managers are frequently asked when will it be finished. Quality. Finishing on time and within budget is not much consolation if the result of the project doesn't work. In Prince2 terms, the project's products must be fit for purpose. Scope. What exactly will the project deliver? There must be agreement on the project scope, and the project manager must have a detailed understanding of what is and what is not within the scope. Risk. All projects entail risk, but exactly how much risk are we prepared to accept is an important aspect. Then we have benefits. Perhaps most often overlooked is the question, why are we doing this? The project manager must have a clear understanding of the purpose of the project as an investment and ensure what the project delivers is consistent with achieving the desired return. In any project, there are always tensions between the aspects that are applied. Too much emphasis on one aspect will be detriment of the others. We must prioritize among all the constraints. However, within any project, there can only be one principal aspect, and that aspect must come first. The higher priority, the less tolerance will be given. This marks the end of Module 1. This is an introduction to the Prince2 Foundation course. In this module, we understood the objective of the course, the format of the exam, target audience, why we need a project, the importance of a project. We also defined what is a project from Prince2 perspective and PMBOK perspective. Then we also studied 5 characteristics of a project, which were change, a project is temporary, project is cross-functional, a project is unique, and it comes with a level of uncertainty. Then we tried to answer the question why a project fails. Then we also understood why have a project management methodology. Thereafter, we understood the benefits of the project management methodology, and then we looked at the role of a project manager. Thereafter, we also understood